What's up, you guys? Welcome back. And if you're new, thank you so much for being here. So I wanted to sit down and talk about addiction today. So I'm more than happy to make a prison video or share my experience with that or talk about news stories with you guys. All of that is in good fun, and I enjoy sharing my story, but I want my channel to be a place of hope. So I've been getting tons of emails and tons of messages on Instagram talking about addiction and people asking me, how the hell did you do that? You know, and I understand that feeling, I understand that frustration, because when I was in my addiction, I thought, no way could you get out of bed in the morning. No way could you go to the grocery store without getting high. How are you getting out of bed in the morning without a substance? I really didn't understand it. I was just disassociated from that. I thought that was a foreign thing. I thought it wasn't real. It was a unicorn. No way are these people living their lives sober and happy. You know, they must be pretending to be happy. So I just want to talk about that today and how I felt then versus how I feel now. So let's go ahead and get started. First and foremost, I think the most important thing I've learned in my sobriety is that sobriety has to come first before anything else. Above all, sobriety has to be first. And I say that because any time that I've gotten clean, I would never put my sobriety and my recovery first, and I'd go right back down that rabbit hole. I would lose all my stuff. I would be shooting bundles and bundles of heroin and pills and meth. And it was because I didn't change things in my life. I didn't create a life outside of addiction. I didn't create a life that I wanted that kept me clean, you know, a life that I wanted to work towards. I sold drugs. And I know a lot of people in the comment section say that's very contradictory. I know. I lied to my connects so they didn't know I was a drug addict so that I can continue doing my job. That's how I viewed it back then, that drug dealing was my job. It was how I made a living. It's how I paid my bills. It's how I paid my friends' bills. It's how I lived. It was selling drugs. So I had to hide who I was. I had to hide my addiction from a lot of people. And I think because of that, it made me believe I was better. So that's the lie that addiction tells us. It tells us, I don't have a problem. Those people over there, they're the problem. Those people, homeless, living on the street, or whatever the picture is you have of a really bad addict, that picture in your mind, I was not, right? So that's what addiction tells us. I'm so much better than these people. These people need a program, need a sponsor, need prison, need rehab. I don't need that. They do. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm in control. I know who I am. I know what I'm doing. They need help. Go help those people. So addiction lied to me on a daily basis, and I thought I was okay. I thought I was better than everyone. I was better than everyone in every room I ever stepped into because I was Jessica. I was under control. I knew me. I knew what I was doing. So even when I went to prison, even when I went to jail, I was better than you. And I would get mad if you told me I was a snotty, uptight, snobby little girl that thinks she's better. I would get really mad because I'm not that person. I do things to help people. So I'm not that person. I'm not snobby. You just don't know me. No, I totally was. I had that attitude that I was above the law, that I could do whatever I wanted to do, that I was better than everyone. And at the core of it, I was worse than most addicts. So putting your recovery first is essential to long-term success. And what I mean by that is if you hang out with people that are doing drugs, you're probably going to end up doing drugs, right? So you have to distance yourself from that. But in that same breath, geographical change does not equate sobriety. So what I mean by that is just because you move from a city, you know, you move from your hometown, you go to a new city, that does not mean automatically that you are going to be successful. You have to take you everywhere you go. You're with you. So if you don't change you, if you don't change the problems inside, it's still going to manifest into addiction. So I was trying to fill a void in my life, and I know a lot of people see me now and they can't picture me that way, but that's because I have 7 years sober and I've changed my life. That's why it looks so foreign. You guys are like, no way was she a heroin addict. I promise you I was. I had tracks from up here all the way down here, and I was so bad. I've relapsed. I have overdosed. I've done a lot of stuff, you guys, and every single time I've tried to take back my life, I didn't put sobriety first until this last time. I will not talk to someone that is on drugs from my old life that knows me. I will definitely help someone that messages me, but you know what I'm saying. I live miles and miles and miles away from my hometown. I threw away the old phones, the phone numbers, everything. And I made a life. I created a life. I created bonds and connections that made me want to stay sober. And it was only through time and pressure that I created a diamond. So I had my daughter, I had Micah, and I was so grateful to have her. And eventually we got Riley, and every single year we crushed new goal after new goal after new goal. And every single year I'm 1 year further away from my old life. and it becomes foreign to me too, you guys. I can't picture myself in that world, and it kind of all seems like a bad dream. But my first year was hell. My first year sober, I was uncomfortable. I didn't like how I felt in my own skin. And just saying that, like, it gives me goosebumps because I hated myself. I hated the feeling of being sober. And at 23, I had to learn who I was. I had to learn about my emotions. I had to learn that I was not perfect. I was not better than anyone else. And I needed these programs. I needed people. I needed help to stay clean. So, growing up, I always had people tell me that I had so much potential, that I was so smart. But let me tell you right now, addiction doesn't care. It doesn't care if you're the smartest person in the room. It doesn't care if you have potential. It doesn't care if you know how to do linear equations in your head. It doesn't care. It doesn't care if you have read every book in the library. It doesn't care if you're a star football player. Addiction doesn't care. And I think people have this idea of what addiction looks like, and it's very, very wrong. Addiction can happen to anyone. And if you are one of those people that say, just don't do drugs and you won't be a drug addict, then you're ignorant and you're foolish and you don't truly understand the meaning of addiction. I was an addict when I took my first sip of alcohol at like 13. That is when I became an addict. My brain did not allow me to go the next day without a substance. And for almost a decade, I was a really bad addict. And I just want you guys to understand that addiction doesn't care. Addiction can happen to anyone, but sobriety can happen to those people too. If you are lost, if you don't know what to do, reach out for help, call someone. Try to get into rehab. I know that can be difficult, but you have to fight for your sobriety. And I promise you, you're going to have to fight harder to be normal than anyone else. To create a life outside of that world is going to be difficult. It's going to be challenging. It's going to make you want to quit. It's going to make you want to relapse. Fight through that. I understand that it's difficult, but the things that come easy don't last. The things that we have to work for, the things that we truly want are challenging to get. Those things last. If you work hard, you put in that time, you cry it out, you work it out, you make it happen, you will be so grateful. And there is nothing better than sobriety. And for long-term, successful recovery, lifelong recovery, it takes grit and tenacity, and it takes determination and discipline that you don't even realize right now. So I just want you guys to understand that certain things will not make you clean. It starts with you. Geographical change does not equate sobriety. You have to start with you. It starts in here. It starts in your mind. And overcoming addiction is possible if you fight through it and you reach out. And I want you guys to understand that even if you fall down, it's okay. Just never quit, never give up. I love you guys. I will see you next time. Bye.